nasa maturity na siya pagdating sa adoption ng uh, pagdating sa adoption ng digitalized applications. Syempre media, unti-unti they're switching platforms instead of broadcasting facilities. They're now using the digital media, advertisements, even yung selling and buying nagagawa na natin sa media, kaya yung retail nandito na rin. Early adopters sila ng digitalized environment. However, there are still a lot of opportunities for digitalization, and for us electronics engineers, this is where we come in. We need to help these different industries to digitalize para maging energy efficient, para maging sustainable, para mas magamit natin yung different data, makapag-analyze and all in these industries. Makikita natin utilities is also going there. Here in the Philippines, there's a move for smart grid application. Now, in other parts of the country, meron ng applications for smart grid. Oil and gas, marine, railways, napakaraming projects for rail ngayon. Healthcare, buildings, nasa bandang dulo pa. So again, this is a good opportunity for us to make these facilities more energy efficient, to digitalize yung processes nila. So yun, kinuha ko lang ito sa aming research pagdating sa S-curve ng adoption ng level of digitalization. So again, 3 buzzwords ng trend globally. Urbanization, sustainability, digitalization. And I think in the coming years, ito pa rin yung magiging trend, primarily because of hindi naman natin maiiwasan yung increased population growth, pero syempre there's a demand for reduction of mismanaged resources, and the one way to go with it is via digitalization, digitalized applications. Now, ano ba yung perspective ng iba't ibang bansa about sustainability? So may kanya-kanyang politics to actually, and even in terms of standards and in terms of application, iba-iba yung iba-iba yung perspective niyan. But I'll be discussing here global perspective in general. And let me start off with a simple chart. Well, this simple infographics na nandito ngayon. So ito ay isang infographics ng temperature rise from 1900s up to the present, depending on classified into different countries. So makikita natin dito from 1900s up to 2000 plus, makikita natin tumataas. Ito yung positive 2 degrees Celsius temperature rise in reference to the 1900 values. So makikita natin nasa extremes na. Ito yung isang effect ng global warming. And yun, makikita niyo naman ito yung website na pinanggalingan nito, Carbon Brief. So yun yung niyan. And this is a more detailed in terms of projection and in terms of the actual temperature. So may reference naman tayo rito. And makikita natin yung Philippines. Ayaw mag-play. Yan, makikita natin Philippines is nandito. So makikita natin as we go along the years, umiinit yung temperature. And isa tayo sa naaapektuhan, lalo na pagka nagkaroon na ng increased sea level So nasa archipelagic tayo archipelago tayo So tayo yung madalas na dadaanan ng bagyo. So yung projections medyo mataas-taas. That's why one of the goals, that's why global economies, majority of different economies in countries have derived an agreement. Ito naman is more of the visual scale ng temperature rise sa atin, Pilipinas, and so ito yung scale ng temperature increase. 0 degrees yung reference pagdating sa no change from 1900 values. Tayo, apektado tayo kasi equator yung nasa equator tayo, so medyo mataas-taas talaga yung temperature ng ng sa atin. So makikita natin, we are already at the point of 0.85 or 1 degree Celsius. So ano ba to? Ito ang reference nito is basing from the 1900 values na pinag-aralan, and we are experiencing drastic changes in temperature. Ang pinaka-iiwasan natin is maabot natin yung 2 degrees Celsius. Kasi ito is meron ng irreparable damage sa environment and sa ating mga agricultural resources, and even sa different structures na meron tayo. So tulad ng sinasabi ko, merong Paris Agreement na ginawa sa video na
What
about
is the Paris Agreement? The Paris Agreement is a legally binding international treaty on climate change to limit global warming to well below 2, preferably to 1.5 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial levels. This requires economic and social transformation to face the climate challenges now and moving into the future based on the best available science. The Paris Agreement works on a 5-year cycle of increasingly ambitious climate action. By 2020, countries communicate their plans known as nationally determined contributions. Countries communicate actions they will take to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions in order to reach the goals of the Paris Agreement. Countries also communicate actions they will take to build resilience to adapt to the impacts of rising temperatures. This may include information on adaptation and finance flows. The Paris Agreement also provides a framework for financial, technical, and capacity building support to those countries who need it. Starting in 2024, countries report transparently on actions taken. Collective progress under the Paris Agreement will be assessed through a global stocktake. This will lead to recommendations for countries to set more ambitious plans in the next round.
So again, ang Paris Agreement is again, ang Pilipinas sa signatories ng Paris Agreement, and makikita natin dito we are already at the tipping point pagdating sa temperature rise. We are by 2100 we are expecting an increase of 3.2 degrees to 5.4 degrees Celsius, which is very dangerous for animals, for us human beings, although I think we can do something about it, and we are again, the good thing is the different countries have agreed to lessen the possible temperature rise to prevent imminent danger for us. So we're looking at this, and again, napag-usapan na naman natin to, population growth and all. So yan. So ang United Nations is the United Nations developed what we call the SDG, or the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm sure you're familiar with all of this, but let me just highlight SDG number 7, which is affordable and clean energy. This is a target set by the UN to ensure universal access to affordable, reliable, and modern energy services. Under this SDG number 7, there are 5 KPIs actually. The first one is ito nga, in 7.1. 7.2 is yung energy transition from non-renewable to renewable energy resources by 2030. So increase substantially the share of renewable energy in the global energy mix. Syempre, another target is in order to help the energy transition from non-renewable to renewable energy resources, at the same time to augment or to sustain yung demand for usable energy. The rate of improvement of energy efficiency should be doubled by 2030. Itong 7A and 7B, it's really more of the infrastructure in place pagdating sa funding, pagdating sa technological availability and all, and kung paano susupport yung mga developing countries sa paano susupport yung developed countries sa mga developing countries tulad ng Pilipinas. And this is the actually, ito yung kakakuha lang natin na actual value. At the moment, basing from the 1900 values, we are already at positive 0.85. Ang tinatarget natin na level would be hindi tayo mag-i-increase ng 1.5 degrees Celsius in terms of temperature increase, temperature variation. Now, ito yung pinaka-latest update about this in terms of global sustainability. We have what we call the COP26. This was held last year, November 1st to November 12, 2021. So, meron tayong tinatawag ngayon na Glasgow Climate Pact, 'di ba? Merong Paris Agreement 2015, 2021 is the Glasgow Climate Pact. Ang naging usapan dito is really to reiterate the need to reduce carbon emission and the need to support yung mga developing countries pagdating sa reduction ng ganitong mga ng carbon emission. So again, this was all agreed by 197 countries including the Philippines. So sa Paris Agreement kasi medyo negotiable pa. They're targeting 2 degrees Celsius, but the main goal is really to target to 1.5 degrees Celsius increase. But ngayon, dito sa Glasgow Pact last year, the target now is to prevent the increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So the target is now 1.5 degrees Celsius and below, up to 2040. And then to hit the target, at least 40% of the world's existing 8,500 coal-fired power plants must be closed by 2030 and no new ones built. So again, ito na yung sinasabi natin na energy transition. We're now transitioning from coal to renewable energy resources. And I think logically speaking, medyo mahirap ma-attain to dahil majority of for example, majority of ASEAN countries are dependent sa coal-fired power plants. Tayo, medyo nandyan pa rin yung coal-fired power plants natin kasi yun yung sasalo ng ng base load natin eh. So, medyo mahirap i-attain to, but again, we need to support this in order to attain the target of 1.5 degrees Celsius and below. And lastly, pinag-usapan rin dito yung adaptation and climate finance. So, sinasabi dito na ang mga bansa, ang mga developed countries will help continue funding developing countries, which is dati kasi ang trabaho ng rich economies is to provide funding for renewable energy installation. Katulad yung a few years ago, meron tayong tinatawag na mga FIT, tinanggal siya. So, ngayon, ang nangyayari is for rich countries to provide funding in terms of adaptation to impact kasi hindi na masyadong mamimitigate nandiyan na eh. So ang funding na mangyayari na ngayon is adaptation to the impact of extreme weather struggle. Ito na kasi yung effect ng extreme temperatures or yung global warming, climate change. So ang inalagay na dito is kailangan mag-allot ng funding to adapt, to provide, to help countries adapt to impact of extreme weather struggle. Sinabi rin dito yung Santiago Network, which is a form of database, communications reporting system in order to address and minimize loss and damages brought about by the climate crisis. And syempre, patulad ng binanggit ko, this is the reaffirmation ng Paris Agreement with a call to a tighter goal. Instead of 2 degrees Celsius na acceptable increase, we're looking at 1.5 degrees Celsius. Now, ano bang ginagawa natin na bilang Pilipino or ano ba ginagawa ng ng national government natin? The government or the Department of Energy has devised what we call the 2 programs, the Energy Efficiency Plan or the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Program, which is I think we are on track. It started 2017 and we're looking at 2040 just in time for the reporting pagdating sa sa Paris Agreement. We are on track. Dito tayo marami tayong pwedeng pasukan as electronics engineers. We can go towards the energy efficiency and management as an energy manager. We can go towards demand side management mechanism by automation. We go EENC R&D dating sa manufacturing and the research and development. So we have a lot of we have a lot of ways to help in the fight against climate change. And also we have also the Philippine government has also what we call the renewable energy plan. So the target is to support the energy transition from non-renewable energy to renewable energy. And by 2040, the target is to increase the capacity of renewable energy to 20 gigawatts. So there's a lot of opportunities for this, lalo na sa mga future electronics engineers. So relevant standards. Globally, we've had, as mentioned, medyo may geopolitics pagdating sa standards and certifications. Kasi at the end of the day, manufacturers are developed or manufacturers build their facilities in different locations of the world. So we have what we call the international standards pagdating sa electrical installation. We have the IEC 60364-8-1, which focuses on energy efficiency. As of the moment kasi, yung counterpart neto dito sa Philippines, hindi naman napag-uusapan doon yung energy efficiency, yung under the Philippine Electrical Code, hindi pa masyadong nababanggit doon. Although different committees are now being built to study and release yung mga best practices in energy efficiency as well. Siyempre, we have the North American standard, which comes from ANSI ASHRAE IES, which is the standard for the design of high performance green building. And then yung EN 15232, which is the standard for the calculation of the impact of automation on a building's energy performance. So this is, I think, one of the medyo gap natin dito sa Philippines, kasi hindi pa natin the buildings have automation, but there's really no way in defining the performance. So I think this is something na kailangan mapag-aralan din ng mga involved sa building automation and sa building industry. On a national level, again, we have the implementation of the Republic 11285, which is the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Law, and the implementation of the Philippine Green Building Code. So I think the Philippine Green Building Code, this was implemented starting 2016. So this is being spearheaded by the DPWH. There are a lot of certification systems. Again, pag sinabi kasi certification system, this is more of organization-based pagdating sa certification, pero based on international standards yung references ng values. So we have what you call the IEA ASHRAE dito sa Philippines, very prominent, the LEED. Sa other countries, we have BREEAM. Also, we have the Energy Management Gold Standard, the ISO 50001 for Energy Management System. Now, in terms of standards and codes, dalawa lang naman yan eh. Either you comply or hindi. So we have what you call the statutory and mandatory. These are the standards and codes mandated by either the local government, katulad ng Philippine Green Building Code. Hindi pa masyado siyang na-i-implement sa ibang local government units, but for majority ng mga malalaking local governments, nakalagay na yung Philippine Green Building Code sa kanilang implementation, and can be implemented also by the national government. So again, tulad ng sinabi ko, either the facility or the designer or the owner complies or hindi. Pagka hindi, syempre wala kang permit. Statutory and mandatory standards are adopted also from international standards. So again, we have the different standards, different codes coming from NFPA for the fire code. We have the NEC, or the Philippine which is being used by our counterparts electrical engineering, which is the Philippine Electrical Code. So Ano yan, these are all adopted from international standards. Now, we have what we call also the voluntary standards. So these are designed and used by advocacy groups. So usually used as a rating system para masabi kung green ba yung building, for example, how many rating, how many stars are there para masabi na green siya, or anong level of pagiging green or anong level of pagiging efficient yung isang facility. Again, these are also traced from international standards. Although they have their own manual, they have their own guidebooks as reference. But if you check all of the guidebooks, they are referring to different international standards and practices. So examples lang ng statutory and statutory codes or standards. We have the Philippine Green Building Code ito. So this was implemented starting 2016 and being used by different OBOs na rin as referral pagdating sa compliance ng na masabi na minimum requirements for green building. And we also have the RA 11285, which is the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Law. Nilagay ko dito yung different energy management systems in place na pinamandate ng batas. So kaya nandito sila sa mandatory, because mandatory na rine-require na ng batas na magkaroon ng isang energy management system ang mga facilities. Now, for the voluntary, again, kilala ninyo naman to, majority of this, EDGE, we have the LED, Verde, which is under the Philippine Green Building Council, Green, and then yung bago, yung WELL, which is focused more on, not only on sustainability, but also focusing on health and safety within the facility, safety and health of the occupants. Now, touching on RA 11285, kasi ito yung I think dito tayo magsisentro, the Philippine Energy Efficiency and Conservation Law. So sa Philippine Energy Efficiency and Conservation Law, tulad ng sinabi ko, this was draft 2018, tapos napirmahan siya 2019. This is an act institutionalizing energy efficiency and conservation, enhancing the efficient use of energy, and granting incentives to energy efficiency and conservation projects. So this was signed by the president 3 years ago. So maraming laman ito. But again, the idea is really to institutionalize energy efficiency and conservation as a national way of life, geared towards the efficient, judicious utilization of energy by formulating, developing, and implementing energy efficiency and conservation plans and programs to secure sufficiency and stability of energy supply in the country, to cushion the impact of high prices of imported fuels to local markets, and to protect the environment in support of the economic and social development goals of the country. So again, secure sufficiency and stability of energy supply. Syempre, this is something na hindi natin nararanasan dito sa Manila, pero nararanasan natin yan sa iba't ibang parte ng Pilipinas. May mga lugar na hindi consistent ang kuryente, or consistent man, hindi ganun kaganda ang quality. And at the same time, cushion the impact of high prices of imported fuels, kasi hindi naman talaga tayo nagpo-produce ng sarili natin eh. Meron man kakaunti, kulang, hindi enough to satisfy the needs of the country. Now, the second is to promote and encourage the development and utilization of efficient renewable energy technologies and systems to ensure optimal use and sustainability of the country's energy resources. Syempre, to ensure a market-driven approach in energy efficiency, conservation, sufficiency, and sustainability in the country. So tulad ng sinasabi ko kanina, maraming nakapaloob dito sa batas na to, from general provisions, agencies responsible, the interagency committees involved, certification of professionals, designated establishments, labeling, incentives, and miscellaneous provisions, and final provisions. Sa atin, as engineers, I think this is more of, siguro kung magkaroon kayo ng kopya nito, pwede nyo namang ma-download sa sa website ng Department of Energy. Para ma-check nyo rin yung yung batas. But I think for most of us, these three are the important ones. Professional competency, labeling, and designated establishments. Unahin ko muna yung designated establishments para lang we have something in common pag pinag-usapan natin yung professionals. So sa establishments, unang-una, designated establishments should integrate an energy management system policy into the business operation based on ISO 50001 or any similar framework. Pag-usapan natin ito mamaya, ISO 50001. Set up programs to develop and design measures to promote energy efficiency, conservation, sufficiency that may include installation of renewable energy. Of course, now, letter C is to set up annual targets, plans, and methods of measurements and verifications pagdating sa pag-i-implement ng isang energy efficiency and conservation project. And syempre, records. Kailangan may records. Dati, pag naka-receive tayo ng Meralco bill, hindi na, tinatapon na natin yan. Pero it's a good practice that that facilities have their records as well pagdating sa energy consumption. Not only in utilities but also in other particulars pagdating sa temperature and all. So katulad sinasabi dito, other energy related data. So temperature, humidity and all. Improve average specific energy consumption. So again, sa batas na to, mayroon deadline every April para na siyang BIR. Every April 15 kailangan mag-submit ng dalawang reports ang mga facilities. Annual energy consumption report and annual energy conservation report. So, ito 'yan. So, kailangan sa annual energy conservation report kailangan na i-improve yung average specific energy consumption ng mga facilities. May target na siniset yan depending on the energy efficiency and conservation plan ng DOE. Ito yung sinasabi ko, annual energy consumption report and annual energy conservation report. Kailangan mag-submit yung mga energy managers ng report sa DOE every 15th of April of every year. Syempre, there's a need to conduct an energy audit once every 3 years by either engaging a certified energy auditor or an accredited ESCO and submit an energy audit report to the DOE upon completion of the audit. Mandatory requirement for designated establishments, the employment of energy conservation officers and energy managers. Pagdating sa different kailangan kasi sila yung gagawa ng reports and sila yung trained and competent to do the management of energy and create energy conservation programs within the facility. And syempre, monitor the DOE kung sino-sino ito. So kailangan mag-submit yung owners and establishments ng pangalan kung sino ang kanilang ECO at kanilang energy managers. Okay, just to summarize, ano ba tong designated establishments na to? Actually, meron tatlo. Based on the law, you'll find this under the Section 65 of the Implementing Rules and Regulations. Meron tatlong types of establishments. Type 1 establishments are the ones consuming 500,000 to 4 million kilowatt hour per year. Sa type 2 naman, these are the ones consuming 4 million kilowatt hour and above annually. And sa mga maliliit, mga parang McDonald's or 7-Eleven, 100,000 to 500,000 kilowatt hour per year, classified sila under other establishments, which is under Section 22. Now, ano ba pinagkaiba? Pagka type 1, mas maliit yung energy consumption, certified energy conservation officer ang kailangan i-employ. Pagka type 2, malaki ang energy consumption, 4 million kilowatt hour per year, ang kailangan i-employ ay isang energy manager, certified energy manager. Now, for other establishments, hindi kailangan. Pero it's good to have an energy manager in place, lalo na sa mga retail facilities. But aside from the roles and obligations na binanggit kanina for designated establishments, ang other establishments should also submit yung annual energy consumption report sa DOE. and at the same time, integrate an energy management system policy. Ang pinagkaiba lang ng other establishments sa Type 1 and Type 2, hindi siya mandated to hire an energy management professional. So at the moment, Type 1 and Type 2 lang yung dire-require. Kailangan mo ng energy conservation officer or an energy manager. And another thing is that hindi mandated na magkaroon ng energy audit for facilities consuming 500,000 kilowatt hour and below sa ngayon. But the direction is really to lower the limit pagdating sa energy audit. Kasi syempre, as we make facilities more and more energy efficient, kailangan sinasakop na rin yung mga inefficient ones na nasa range ng 100,000 to 500,000 kilowatt hour. But that's in the future. Sa ngayon, ang mandated is kailangan 500,000 kilowatt hour and above, kailangan magkaroon ng energy audit, third party, done by a certified energy auditor or an accredited ESCO. And this should be conducted every 3 years. So, ngayon, we are on the 3rd year of the law. So, medyo marami-raming gagawing energy audit kasi nasa pangatlong taon na eh. So, this is the first cycle ng energy audit. Or second cycle actually kasi before the law, nagkaroon na naman. So, this is the second cycle mandatory energy audit. Now, sino-sino ba yung professionals involved? So, the energy management practitioners. So, sino-sino ba to? Tatlo yan. Nabanggit na rin naman kanina. The CEM, the SECO, and the EA. The CEM is the Certified Energy Manager. This is under Section B, Section 4, letter B. So, ang requirement for CEM, kailangan licensed engineer. So, may it be an mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, or an electronics engineer. As long as licensed engineer ka, pasok ka, qualified ka to become a certified energy manager. So, this is the professional that obtains a certification as a CEM after demonstrating high levels of experience, competency, proficiency, and ethical fitness in the energy management profession. Now, sa SECO, di ba, mas mababa, 500,000 kilowatt hours and 500,000 kilowatt hours to 4 million. So, certified energy conservation officer ka. So, these are professionals, regardless kung board passer or hindi, regardless kung anong profession, basta under the PRC may license ka ng PRC, who obtains a certification as a certified energy conservation officer after demonstrating high levels of experience, competency, proficiency, and ethical fitness in the energy management profession. Lastly, the energy auditors. Ang energy auditor, more or less, are the energy efficiency practitioners who are certified by the Department of Energy and has proven credibility in terms of competence to conduct an energy audit. Maraming klase kasi ng energy audit eh. We have the level 1, level 2, and level 3 energy audit. I'm not sure lang if naisama ko dito sa presentation ko, but in most cases, these are multi-trade practitioners kasi ang pagka-audit naman ng isang facility is not really just auditing the electrical system. It's not just auditing the mechanical system. You also need to audit kung ano yung infrastructure nila, kung ano yung mga nakaprogram dun sa nila sa, for example, sa HVAC systems para magawang energy efficient. Kailangan mo rin i-check kung balance yung nila, kung kailangan rin mag-conduct ng air balancing para masabi na walang leakage. So maraming trade dito. And in some cases, yung SECO and CEM, kailangan lang nilang mag-submit ng credentials nila kay Department of Energy to become a certified energy auditor under the Department of Energy or under the ESCO program. So ano ba yung responsibilities? Medyo mas broad yung responsibilities ng energy manager. Kasi medyo nasa management level siya. So the objective of the CEM is to plan, to lead, to manage, to coordinate, to monitor, and to evaluate the implementation of an energy management, sustainable energy management within their organizations. Kasi mas malaki to eh. Mas malaki yung mga facilities na hinahawakan nito. And in most cases, ang certified energy manager is the lead. So meron siyang mga tao sa team niya na specialists rin on their fields, specializing in HVAC systems, specializing in electrical systems and all. Ang importante is that the energy manager understands and he's the one who's doing these 6 parts: plan, lead, manage, coordinate, monitor, and evaluate. For second naman, medyo mas maliit yung mga facilities nito. Nasa maintenance level siya. So supervision and maintenance of the facilities or proper management of energy consumption. So nasa technical level itong SECO, and itong EA naman, the conduct of energy audits in order to help in formulating and validating possible ECMs, energy conservation measures. Now, meron also as part of the RA 11285, meron ring tinatawag na guidelines on energy conserving design of buildings. So ito ay bagong edition kasi unang nilabas ito 2008. May bagong edition na 2020 yung nilabas to support yung RA 11285. Maraming changes actually. Maraming changes in terms of limit, in terms of standards, and at the same time yung mga addition. For example, dito sa bagong version, nilagay dito yung building management system requirement for buildings consuming 300 for buildings who has 300 TR HVAC system, kailangan na magkaroon ng building management system to automate yung HVAC systems together with the electrical systems. Nilagay na rin dito yung requirement for electric vehicle charging stations, kung paano siya i-comply, nandito na rin. So ano naman to, free download, mada-download dito sa Department of Energy website. So ang sakop nito ay bagong buildings that has a total capacity of 112.5 kVA. And with this total gross floor area of 10,000 square meters. So pareho ito ng requirement ng Philippine Green Building Code, which is 10,000 square meters. And for buildings na existing pero magdadagdag or magbabago, magkakaroon ng addition, upgrading, and yung mga existing buildings to ay nagko-consume or meron total connected electrical loads of up to around 112.5 kVA. Ito yung magic number. Pagka ang transformer is more than 112.5 kVA, sakop ka na ng guidelines ng energy conserving buildings. Pag bago yung building na itatayo or pag meron kang upgrade. So dito sa guidelines na to, this is divided into 3 systems: building envelope, mechanical systems, and electrical systems. So again, sa building envelope, this section is mandatory for air-conditioned buildings. So lahat ng buildings na mayroong central air conditioning centralized air conditioning, nandito yung sakop siya nitong requirement na to. For non-air conditioned buildings, the requirements defined in this section are not mandatory, but recommendable to improve thermal comfort. The requirements and guidelines in this section cover external walls, roofs, and air leakage and reflectance of the roof. May mga chart din dito as reference for mechanical engineers pagdating sa OTTV. Now, sa mechanical systems, syempre, ano ba yung mechanical systems? Plumbing, HVAC. So, binabanggit dito yung air conditioning and ventilation system. So, the requirements in this section represent minimum design criteria. Designers shall evaluate other energy conservation measures which may be applicable to the proposed building or the proposed building renovations. The Philippine Green Building Code applies to all new construction and or alteration of buildings with a TGFA. Ito yung sinasabi ko, pareho lang naman. Total gross floor area of 10,000 square meters or more. So in case of conflict, the most stringent requirements shall apply. So tulad ng binabanggit ko, building owners who are covered by this shall be required to submit the building's annual electricity usage, kilowatt hour per year, fuel consumption in terms of liters annually, liquefied petroleum gas. This shall be submitted in the application of the renewal of mechanical systems. Documents to be submitted in the report shall be the monthly electrical bills, fuel, and LPG delivery receipts. So medyo marami-raming kailangan isubmit pag sakop pagka ano ka na, nandito ka na sa mechanical systems. Syempre tinitingnan dito yung steam and hot water system. So applies with the and design of steam and hot water services in the buildings. Now sa electrical system, dito papasok yung lighting, which will apply the lighting of spaces and areas of such as interior spaces of buildings, exterior, roads. Dito rin papasok yung requirement for AC motors. So binabanggit dito, mamaya meron akong differentiation. Yung high efficiency motors, binabanggit na dito for new buildings required ng gumamit ng high efficiency motors. Power distribution and the renewable energy power supply system, wherein the building shall install renewable energy power supply within their facility whenever it is technically feasible. So hindi naman lahat kailangan. Pagka technically feasible, malaki yung roof space, hindi nakakasira ng facade and all, pwede maglagay ng renewable energy power supply system. So system capacity can be sized to either supply partially the requirement of the facility use or supply entirely the requirements of the facility as a net zero energy building. And aside from satisfying its own power requirements, can sell the excess energy to the local power utility. So dito papasok yung ating net metering requirements, pero limited to 100 kilowatt. So pagka lumagpas ka ng 100 kilowatt install base, hindi ka napapasok sa net metering guidelines ng ERC. The renewable energy power supply system shall be designed and installed in accordance with the relevant provisions. In terms of safety, the Philippine Electrical Code Part 1. Nababanggit kasi dito yung requirements pagdating sa protection devices and all to prevent any electrical fires. So dito yan papasok. Siyempre the Philippine Distribution Code and other rules and regulations issued by the ERC and the Office of the Building Officials. Again, tayo naman as ECE professionals, we can also integrate renewable energy systems as long as this is compliant in terms of safety standards under the Philippine Electrical Code, and as well as the ones being prepared by the committee where the Power Electronics Committee, we're trying to prepare also best practices para naman sa electronics engineering side. So hopefully rin kami makapaglabas kami ng output in the coming months. Letter D, buildings are encouraged to use systems or equipment that utilize renewable energy such as solar PV or wind power supply systems, water heaters, air conditioners, solar powered lighting systems, and the like, whichever is applicable to demand commercial to reduce the demand for commercial power. And lastly, for renewable energy, medyo medyo binabanggit rin kasi dito yung the application or the usage of grid tie inverters or hybrid inverters. And sinasabi rin dito yung safety functionalities, yung rapid shutdown na rini-require. So there is a commercial pagka nagkaroon ng power interruption, hindi magkakaroon ng feedback papunta sa utility grid. So nagkakaroon ng requirements for this. Pagka nag-apply for net metering, kailangan at least 2 meters are installed in the facility. One measuring the quantity of renewable energy power being supplied to the building, and the other measuring the quantity of commercial power. So ito yung ginagamit ng facility coming from the utility. And of course, hindi dapat tinitingnan ang pag-i-install ng renewable energy in terms of initial cost, but it's best that we take a look into the cost, into the life cycle cost or total cost of ownership pag gumagawa ka ng study. Syempre, as energy managers or as energy management practitioners, you don't only study the initial cost but also the return of investment, which equates to the total life cycle cost or total cost of ownership ng mga systems na ginagamit not only in renewable energy but also in the implementation of energy efficiency and conservation measures. Now, let's move forward. ISO 50001. Pagka sinerch nyo or pinag-aralan nyo ito yung international standard for energy management systems. So pag-usapan natin to briefly. As mentioned, ISO 50001 is the international standard for energy management. This defines the requirements for an ENMS or the energy management system. This is applicable to any organization. Although sa Philippines, katulad ng binabanggit sa batas, di ba? This is required for 100,000 kilowatt hours and above. So from other establishments up to the type 2, type 1 designated establishments. And this is based on the management system model of continual improvement. Technically, ang ISO 50001 is a framework for requirements to organizations to develop a policy for efficient use of energy, fix targets and objectives to meet the policy. Siyempre, to use the data to better understand and make decisions about energy use. Kasi, siyempre, wala ka naman data, hindi ka makakapag-decide kung tama o mali yung gagawin mo. Measure the results, review how well the policy works, and eventually improve the energy management system and energy management policy. So, ang energy management system may iba't iba, ang ISO 50001 may iba't ibang steps. So, pagka binasa niyo po ang standard na to, syempre you'd have first the general requirements, the responsibility of the management, the formulation of energy policy, energy action plan, implementation, monitoring, audits, and management review. Yung first four steps is really just for planning to achieve the targets and goals ng isang energy efficiency program. And the latter three portions is really more of implementation. Syempre, once you have the data, once you do audits, once you do memo or you issue memos, syempre you'll have cultural changes, and at the same time the monitoring and tracking of the program based on the KPIs na gagawin niyo during the planning phases. And again, just to give you everyone an overview, ang ISO 50001 is also new. This was just published 2018, so it's just around 4 years old. So this is continuously being revised and studied for better compliances. And syempre, tulad ng batas natin, every 3 years kailangan magkaroon ng audit, and in every certain period of time nag-a-update rin kasi yung practices, nagkakaroon ng bagong technologies and all. So continuously evolving ito. Kaya ang ISO 50001 based on continuous improvement. And based on PDCA, mamaya let's go into detail on this. Now, let's move forward with the principles of energy management. So, again, the idea of implementing an energy management system is really for an organization to comply with the objectives and goals, especially especially ngayon meron ng RA 11285. You need to have the better management of resources pagdating sa energy management. Objective also is to raise awareness and involvement from staff and other members of the organization. Kasi hindi lang nakasalalay sa isang tao ang pagmamanage ng electricity or ng energy. Kailangan yan ng organizational involvement, especially ng mga nasa baba. Kasi sila yung madalas na gumagamit talaga ng energy in the facility. Lalo na sa factory, may process line guy. You need to train also the operators on efficiently operating the machines and the processes. Develop knowledge of staff and the rest of the organization, and support continuous improvement. Eventually integrate it with standard working procedures and other quality systems in the organization. So ano ba mga benefits pagka naglagay tayo ng energy management system within the facility? Aside from compliance, syempre, if you have a system, you will have a systematic approach to cost management, to achieve energy cost savings. You are able to reduce operation and maintenance cost, especially if you have monitoring systems in place. Increased staff awareness for energy conservation and waste minimization. And syempre, developing organization and staff knowledge in energy management. Setting up targets and setting up measurement and verification procedures, preparation of energy reporting systems, and supporting other quality systems. Now, kanina pinag-uusapan natin ISO 50001. But in most cases, ang ISO 50001 in most cases ang energy management or ang isang energy conservation measure nagiging project based. Minsan hindi siya sustainable in terms of reduction kasi minsan napapabayaan na. So ang idea is that without a sustainable energy management system in place, the organization will not be able to control and maintain the savings, especially once the focus is moved to other programs. This will result to the rising of energy costs. Especially pag walang energy manager in place. This is a very common common cycle ng isang project sa in reference to energy management. Pag walang energy manager or pag walang person in charge pagdating sa energy conservation, ang nangyayari is yung management nagre-realign ng budget sa point or minsan darating sa point na nawawalan na ng budget yung improvement measures. Eventually tumataas yung yung energy consumption, nagiging cycle na lang siya. So tataas tapos bababa pagkatapos ng isang project, tataas na naman kasi napabayaan na. So nagiging cycle na lang siya. So ang idea is to put a sustainable energy management system in place wherein continuous yung monitoring, continuous yung development ng processes, and continuous yung pagre-research and development ng mga energy management practitioners. In that way, dire-diretso or continuous sustainable yung pag-reduce natin ng energy consumption. So, as makikita nyo dito sa graph na to, kasi typical cycle is ito eh. But if there's a sustainable energy management system in place, continuous yung yung energy reduction natin until ma-optimize natin talaga yung process. Now, tulad ng binabanggit ko kanina, we go with PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act. So for planning, you'd be sa planning phase, tulad ng pinakita ko kanina, this is really to understand the context of the organization, to establish an energy policy and an energy management team, consider actions to address the risk and opportunities. And dito natin ginagawa yung energy review, energy accounting, and establishment of KPIs, baselines, objectives, and energy targets. Now, sa do, syempre, this is more of the implementation of the action plans. Operational and maintenance controls, communications, and ensure competence. And consider energy performance in design and procurement. In most cases kasi pagka nakatayo ng facility, pagka may procurement arm na may operational na, for example, yung process, operational na, minsan na-disregard yung buying. Minsan pagka bumibili ang ating procurement, minsan lowest cost possible. However, ang idea kaya nagkakaroon ng isa pang importance ng isang energy manager or yung energy management system is primarily to incorporate yung requirement sa mga buying. Pagka bumibili na, kailangan hindi lang nakatingin sa cost but really more on the total cost of ownership. Yung para pagdating sa installation, pagdating sa operation, hindi na siya magiging problema, hindi siya dagdag load or hindi niya mako-compromise yung energy management system. Check. Syempre, sa checking would be the monitoring, measuring, analyzation, evaluation, and auditing and conducting energy management reviews. And after checking the implementation ng non-conformities. So pagka familiar kayo sa sa ISO certification. Halos ganito rin yung process niyan. But this one just refers to energy management system processes. So ano ba yung step-by-step energy management system process ng isang sustainable energy management? So ano yan? Meron yung 4: evaluation, organizational preparation, implementation of conservation measures, ECMs, energy conservation measures, and integration to the system. Now, sa evaluation, of course, you are evaluating the facility. If you're an energy auditor or if you're an energy manager who is evaluating a certain facility, you need to check on certain parameters. Siyempre, you need to check the energy policy in place. Meron na bang policy yung facility na ginagawa natin? May commitment na ba yung management to reduce the energy consumption ng isang facility, ng kanilang facility? Ano ba yung motivation? Is it just really on cost? Is it compliance? Or is it the actual improvement of the processes? Siyempre, information systems. May online monitoring ba sila? May database ba sila? How do they keep the data? How do they transmit and all? Siyempre, marketing. This is very important kasi ang marketing is how the organization cascades information such as itong mga energy policy sa kanilang mga staffs. And may pera ba sila? Siyempre, very important. May funding ba sila? Kasi ang energy efficiency is not really, it's a no cost it's not really a no cost operation. It's more of kailangan mo mag-invest para makatipid ka. Kasi you'd be investing time, you'd be investing people, and syempre you'd be investing a certain portion of some funds for new technologies. Simple replacement lang, for example lang na split type aircon into an inverter type aircon, malaki-laking investment na rin yun. But the return is fast, mas mabilis. Again, for energy policy, an effective management starts with the proper energy policy. Siyempre, allocation ng responsibilities. Kailangan sa organizations, alam nila na part sila ng energy management team, alam nila na competent sila to handle yung role. Minsan kailangan dedicated pa nga na tao. In some facilities na nakikita ko, dedicated na tao yung nilalagay nila talaga for the management of energy consumption and for the compliances ng energy management system. So, channels of communication pagdating sa motivation, paano ba makakatipid, and naiintindihan ba ng mga tao yung kung bakit nagkakaroon ng programs for energy reduction. Syempre, katulad ng binanggit ko kanina, information system, how energy performance is monitored and reported. And then marketing is not it's not marketing of the company, but really more on the awareness campaign within the organization for information dissemination. And again, investment. So this is a cut from the ASEAN management scheme pagdating sa energy management matrix. Tulad ng sabi ko kanina, pag at each and every energy management system process, evaluation is very important kasi dito malalaman kung saan magfo-focus yung energy manager. Kung mataas yung kung walang energy management policy in place, bakit pa natin gagawin to? Syempre kailangan ng commitment ng management. So kailangan magkaroon ng written guideline. So energy management policy, you'd also need to evaluate the organization, so with 0 the lowest for the highest. So pagka 0, walang energy management or any formal delegation of responsibility for energy consumption. Ibig sabihin, walang energy manager or walang engineer, walang technical personnel. So, yan. Kailangan i-check to isa-isa by doing interviews and all. So, again, upon checking, ito naman yung magiging itsura ng chart natin high balance, halos mataas lahat, score on level 3 or more. Syempre, in terms of analysis, syempre, excellent performance, nasa high balance kayo, mataas. And syempre, pagka nandito na yung level ng facility, well, the objective is really to bring the facility at this level. So kailangan lang maintenance na lang ng system, compliance and all. However, pagka ganito yung system natin, low balance, mababa, marami kang kailangan gawin. Get commitment from top management, formulate strategy to develop energy management, set target, action plan, and monitoring processes. So, ano yan? Again, you'll have a copy of this naman. And if you attend the certification processes for energy managers, you'd have more detailed, a more detailed idea on how to mitigate or to correct. For example, if merong ganito lang, lahat nasa baba tapos merong isang umangat. So how would you be mitigating this as an energy manager? So may part of the training ito for energy managers. Now, organizational preparation, energy policy. First and foremost, pagka gumagawa kayo ng isang energy management system, pagka nag-incorporate kayo ng EMS with the facility, the programs, kailangan ng commitment. This is a written energy policy communicate across the organization. This is the same as what the HSE practitioners are doing in terms of safety, in terms of health. But this time, this is in reference to energy consumption, energy usage, and the commitment to energy reduction. This will state a commitment to comply with relevant legislation and relevant regulations with respect to energy and with other requirements to which the organization subscribes. Now, if we already have a commitment, syempre, the management will provide resources, manpower resources, or delegation pagdating sa energy management committee or the team for energy management. So this is the team that implements energy management action plans agreed by the whole organization. So ano bang duties ng committee members nito? Assess energy management performance, analyze organization strength, preparation of the energy policy, organize the preparation of the working procedures, manuals, and tools, energy target, monitoring, and review, and adjust if needed, yung target and plan for continuous improvement. Kasi pagka nag-target ka naman, it's more on the magnitude and the timeline. Gaano kalaki ba yung i-reduce natin, for how long, and anong methodologies yung gagawin natin. Syempre, pagka na part ka ng energy management committee, dalawa yung tinitingnan skills mo. If you are technically competent, and syempre, kailangan mo rin ng management representatives. Kailangan mo ng representative from the finance, from the procurement, and other stakeholders within the organization. Pagka gumagawa ka ng energy management team, pag nagpo-form ka na ng team mo. Now, we have what we call the energy accounting centers. The ISO 50001, ang tawag dito is significant energy users. Huwag kayong malito, pareho lang yun. Energy accounting centers, significant energy users. It's pretty much the same. Ang pinagkaiba lang would be, ang energy accounting centers is not focused only on the equipment, but also focused on the personnel within operating the equipment. So the committee should divide the organization into small divisions called EACs to actively control the energy consumed. And each energy accounting center will be monitored by a PIC or a person in charge to be responsible for energy consumption in each EAC. The usual way is to divide the organization is through department or line processes. So again, pinakamadaling example would be factory. Pagka meron kang line 1 po-process ng this amount of products, meron kang team lead dyan, siya yung magiging person in charge mo, siya yung mag-monitor, siya yung magre-record ng output, siya yung maglalagay kung gaano karaming electricity or resources yung ginamit in order to produce this certain amount of output. So, yun. Pwede yun. In most cases, para mapadali rin, we also zone them or we divide them into different areas. Siyempre, mas malapit yung person in charge sa EAC niya, mas maganda. If dumating sa point na hindi naman lahat technically competent, mas mahirap kasi kailangan ikutin ng person in charge ang bawat EAC to get data and all. Now, implementation of energy conservation measures. So sa implementation ng energy conservation measures, we classify them into different approaches depending on the target in terms of energy consumption reduction. So we have the low cost savings approach. So this refers to the targeting of less than 5% of electrical energy savings. Siyempre, low cost savings approach, we're looking at the range of 5% to 20% of electrical energy savings. And lastly, medium to high cost savings approach. Siyempre, this targets more than 20% of electrical energy savings. Again, pagka gumagawa tayo ng energy conservation measures, this is based already on the data that we have. Nakapag-ikot na tayo sa facility, naka-audit na tayo, ano bang practice nila, ano bang processes nila. Kasi minsan, this is as simple as putting a reminder to turn off the lights pagdating sa CR. So, ano yan, maraming opportunities for no-cost savings approach. But at the end of the day, if malaki-laki yung target natin, we go towards the high-cost project-based and CapEx-intensive approach, which is 20% of electrical energy savings. So gagawa ka ng chart niyan, gagawa ka ng template, gagawa ka ng chart area, tapos ito yung nakikita mong pwedeng improvement, and ito yung kailangan budget allocation, and ito yung targeted impact natin pagka ginawa na natin to. So yan. Now, samples ng no cost savings approach. This is as easy as switching off unused lights. In most cases, putting a tag or putting a reminder dun sa door entry bago lumabas na kailangan niyang ipatay yung ilaw is malaking tulong na yan. In some cases, in most cases, sumusunod naman yung mga tao. Pwede niyang ilagay sa CR, pwede yan ilagay sa entrance ng isang office and all. Syempre, may mga cases na kahit patayin mo yung ilaw, may mga cases na meron tayong tinatawag na vampire loads. Ito yung mga, again, pagka may electronic device ka, considered na kumakain ka na ng very minimal electricity, pero pagka pinagsama-sama mo yan, in-accumulate mo yan, ang laki niyan. One case in point, I did an energy audit for a school here in the Philippines. They were looking at replacing the conventional lighting, and they're looking at replacing it with LED. Again, if you read on paper, pag tiningnan mo, malaki talaga yung savings from conversion from CFL, traditional lighting, to LED. It's around 30 to 50% from the lighting cost. However, when I audited it, naglagay ako ng energy logger, naglagay ako ng certain data parameters, pinalitan na namin yung ilaw. Ang savings very minimal, nasa 2%. And then nung tiningnan namin dun sa monitoring system, ang kumakain ng savings nila, hindi talaga, ang main cost of energy consumption nila is not really the lighting, but really yung yung dispensers nila, water dispensers. So every time na may kumukuha ng tubig na mainit, nagtitimpla ng kape, nagko-consume siya ng more than 1 kilowatt para dun sa water dispensers na yun. So isipin mo, magtitimpla ka lang ng kape, kumukonsumo ka na ng 1 kilowatt. So this is and minsan kahit gabi nag-heat up siya. Dahil may cycle siya, may thermostat siya na kailangan may maintain siya na heat na temperature ng water. So in some cases pinapatanggal talaga namin yung water dispensers pagka alas 6, alas 7, alas 8 na pag wala ng tao. Primarily because of this reason. Dahil nagsa-surge yung consumption nila. So again, this is a good case of unplug unused equipment. Just as simple of unplugging it, malaki nang matutulong in terms of energy savings. Syempre, awareness campaign. It's really it's best that you have awareness campaigns as well. Pagka gumagawa ka ng energy efficiency program, kailangan aware yung staff mo. Kailangan aware sila na meron kang program pagdating sa energy reduction. In some cases, I've seen campaigns where ini-incentivize yung department na merong reduction ng cost in terms of electricity. So, yung iba, minsan hindi na makatao, minsan pinapatay na yung aircon, minsan but again, this is kumbaga, if you have an awareness campaign, you have incentives, syempre kakagatin talaga ng mga staff yan. So, it's something na it's very low cost. Kumbaga, it's just reminding people na meron kang energy efficiency campaign, you need to turn off unused electricity, huwag kang mag-charge ng cellphone mo dito or whatnot dahil meron kang energy reduction policies. Example naman ng low cost savings approach. Siyempre, tulad ng ginagawa natin madalas, I think nung nag-start ako sa energy management industry, this was the boom of LED. Yung government, meron silang tinatawag na GEMP, basta may program sila for reduction ng energy consumption, and one of the programs is to reduce to convert from traditional lighting to LED, and it's very effective. It does not only reduce the energy consumption ng lighting fixture per se, but it also reduces the heat load para sa mga air conditioning systems. So this is a good low cost solution. An LED now would just cost around 100 to 150 pesos in replacement for a traditional lighting, and typically it's divided by 2. So kung meron kang 16 watt na fluorescent tube, you buy an 8 watt LED, pareho lang ng lux level yan, with the reduction of the energy required to produce the certain level of lux. Siyempre, if you have already exhausted your options pagdating sa lighting, you automate. Again, marami naman yata tayong millennials na nandito. Makikita niyo yan sa Starbucks, sa Coffee Bean, mga naka-automate na yung lighting nila sa CR. Pagka pumasok ka, mag-on yung ilaw. Pagka lumabas ka, mag-off for a certain period of time. And this is also being mandated by the Philippine Green Building Code. You already need to have a certain occupancy-based lighting pagdating sa facilities wherein, or pagdating sa zones na hindi naman madalas tinatao. So hallways and offices. Kailangan lang tama yung design. Diyan papasok ang engineer. Kasi kahit sino pwede magkabit ng occupancy sensor. Pero where do you place it? Saan mo ilalagay? Diyan papasok ang pagiging engineer. Kasi you need to consider the mounting level and the area of coverage. So, dito yan. Matagal na ito. Actually, medyo late tayo dito sa Pilipinas. Pero in global practices, it's now the usage of IE2. It's now the usage of, it's now the conversion of IE2 motors to IE3. Ibig sabihin, from high efficiency motor to extra high efficiency or very high efficient motors. Dito sa Pilipinas, we are still in the conversion of standard efficiency to high efficiency, IE1 to IE2. But again, it's good progress kasi at least we are doing our part. So, in cases ng IE1 to IE2 motors, you would be able to reduce you would be able to have an ROI of, I think, 1 to 2 years pagka nagpalit ka, provided na pareho yung load and all. Siyempre, pagdating naman sa sa low cost, it's best that you have a maintenance monitoring system. So dati kasi nung nagtatrabaho pa ako sa nung nasa industrial segment pa ako, I usually go to facilities para sa i-automate yung mga processes nila. Ang process nila is destructive maintenance. Ibig sabihin, pag nasira yung machine, doon lang nila ayusin. Ngayon, I think after a few years, naging preventive maintenance na. Ngayon, we are already in the trend of predictive maintenance because of the availability of technology. Kasi ngayon, may mga technology na, for example, for motors, you are already able to measure yung or monitor yung vibration nila in reference to the current drawn. For switch gears, you are already able to measure yung yung lifespan nila based on the environmental and electrical parameters. So it's very easy to have a predictive maintenance program for different facilities. And this will entail positive effects pagdating sa energy consumption reduction. Kasi for example, for air conditioning systems, pagka tumataas na yung current mo, ibig sabihin madumi for example, madumi na yung filter mo, tapos hindi mo pa na-attain yung certain level of temperature mo. So ang nangyayari, tumatakbo yung aircon mo. So this is something na I think in most cases na di-disregard in terms of energy management. Pero magkadugtong yung bitukan yan maintenance at saka energy management. Magkadugtong yan. So you need to have a proper scheduled and predictive maintenance of equipment in order to have an energy efficient facility. Siyempre, energy monitoring in place. You need to have, again, you cannot control what you cannot measure. So you need to have an energy monitoring in place. May it be just a simple meter, or it can be as complex as an energy management. It can be as complex as an energy monitoring system, wherein yung different meters are integrated into a building management system or a monitoring system, a standalone monitoring system. The advantage of having one is really you are able to identify kung saan talaga nanggagaling yung source of inefficiency. You are also able to identify kung effective ba yung energy efficiency programs na ginagawa ninyo. Kasi at the end of the day, pagka tinitingnan lang natin is Meralco bill, cyclical yan. Ang nangyayari dyan is pagka lumamig yung panahon, syempre may effect yun sa facility. Pagka uminit naman, syempre may effect sa facility. So this is one way to quantify yung energy consumption. But aside from that, syempre you'd also need temperature monitoring, humidity monitoring, and other environmental monitoring sensors in place within the facility, so that you would be able to know the trends. You'd be able to monitor kung ano nangyari 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and compare. And syempre validate kung tama ba or merong pagkakalayo from the actual reading ng utility, and you would be able to manage your resources properly. Now, let's go towards high cost and medium cost. Medyo may kalamahalan but high yielding in terms of energy savings. Siyempre, again, building automation, building management system is always a good option for everyone. Automating processes, automating HVAC systems, automating lighting is something na magpapatali sa buhay ng mga engineers, and at the same time magpapaganda ng energy consumption, ng energy reduction ng mga facilities. Kasi initially ang building management system kasi this was just meant for HVAC systems, but eventually ngayon with the possibility with IP-based technology, we are able to integrate other subsystems as well. So ang nangyayari niyan is pag na-integrate niyan, you would be able to you would be able to ensure yung safety and comfort ng facilities. Kasi tama na yung temperature, hindi na kailangan umikot ng mga engineers sa isang facility, and at the same time makukuha nila yung data required. Kasi minsan, for example, temperature, minsan malamig ang isang certain level of temperature sa isang tao as compared sa ibang tao. So this is one way to quantify rin yung level of comfort pagdating sa sa isang building. Again, an option would still be, we still have an option for the installation of variable frequency drives. The idea of variable frequency drives is really based on the affinity law, wherein pagka nagkaroon ka ng reduction sa speed ng motor, it will yield a certain higher percentage of savings. Now, in terms of application, hindi lahat ng motors pwede lagyan ng variable frequency drives. So you'd need an expert, you need an engineer to quantify, to validate, and to see kung tama ba yung process. So this will be a mixture of mechanical engineering practice, electrical engineering practice, and electronics engineering practice. Kasi syempre, variable frequency drives are made from IGBTs, mga thyristors. And meron kang kailangan programming. Minsan, you need to have automation, PLC-based, para magkaroon ka ng tamang process automation pagdating sa application ng variable frequency drives. Common practice, the adoption of power factor correction. So, ang power factor correction sa electrical engineering naman kasi to, but ang idea kasi ng power factor correction is the correction ng the correction of the power factor ng isang facility by the utilization of reactive power compensation. So, kasi in most cases pag may motors ka, you'd need certain amount of kVAR in order to run this. However, yung binibigay kasi ni Meral ng utility, hindi naman reactive power yun. It's kVA. It's a mixture of apparent power and reactive power. Pero so habang lumalaki yung need mo, habang dumadami yung motors mo, lalaki yung need mo for reactive power. In turn, lalaki yung apparent power na kakailanganin mo from the utility. So the idea of power factor correction is ini-store natin yung reactive power sa capacitor naman, same as the ones that we have in yung mga maliliit mga electronics capacitors, di ba? Charging, discharging, storing, and discharging. So ang idea nito is to store, and whenever there's a need for reactive power, instead of the facility getting an additional apparent power coming from the utility, dito na niya kukunin yung reactive power, thus reducing the need for yung additional power coming from the facility, coming from the utility. And lastly, the installation of, an example lang is a solar PV system. Ang solar PV system kasi, this is very flexible. You can install it on any area na may access sa sun. Sa green building or sa net zero building initiatives, in some cases hindi naman required na maglagay ka ng solar PV sa ibabaw ng bubong ng isang building kasi maliit lang naman yung floor area. However, one way to attain net zero building initiative certification is to contract a utility company or a distribution company who's supplying electricity coming from renewable energy like solar PV. So ang nangyayari doon is bumibili na yung building ng renewable energy doon sa supplier ng electricity. Pero yung supplier ng electricity, instead of getting it from the power generating plants, they're getting it from the solar farms and other renewable energy resources. So at the end of the day, hindi dumadaan pa rin sa distribution utility yung solar, yung renewable energy, but solar na yung ginagamit to power, technically solar na or renewable energy na yung ginagamit to power the building. So that's one way of going solar, buying from solar power generation generator or solar power generation companies. Another way is, again, the typical ones, we install solar PV systems, we do on-grid or grid tie. We can we can use hybrid technology to store also with in batteries. But at the end of the day, pagka kinulang ka ng kuryente, kukunin mo pa rin sa Meralco or sa utility company yung kulang mo na electricity na generate coming from the solar PV system. So again, maraming technologies available, but these are few of them, BMS, VFDs, PFCs, and solar PVs. Now, if you're already if one moving forward with the energy management system, this is also part of the process wherein you need to integrate different subsystems, or you are able to integrate the energy management system to different quality management system. So ISO 50001 or ASEAN Energy Management Scheme or Energy Management Gold Standard is able to integrate with other ISO certified management system standards such as the QMS, yung ISO 14001. Kasi pagka na-integrate ito or nakapag-integrate tayo ng different processes, mas simplified yung monitoring, mas simplified yung processes within the organization. Now, paano ba maging certified energy manager? Dito sa Philippines, as of the moment, wala pang training institution na nagko-conduct ng certified energy manager para sa Philippine practice. However, the Philippines is part of the ASEAN nation, and we have what we call the ASEAN Certified Energy Manager. So as of the moment, the Department of Energy and other agencies are more or less leaning towards the recognition of the energy managers certified by the ASEAN. Kasi halos pareho lang ng practice, and typically almost the same lang rin yung curriculum niya. With other amendments, syempre you need to have more knowledge on the local practice rin. So here's what we have. ASEAN Energy Management and Accreditation Scheme is a standardized regional training and certification mechanism for ASEAN energy managers, combining theoretical lessons, exercises, personal learning, and energy practices that will increase their knowledge and skills to formulate and implement a sustainable energy management system within their companies. So again, this is under the ASEAN Center for Energy, which consolidates in different energy practices within the ASEAN region. So ano bang requirements for the ASEAN Certified Energy Manager? Dalawang route na pwede. Either a bachelor degree or vocational certification. Pero kasi dito sa Philippines, if you're going to practice for the Philippines, in the Philippines as an energy manager or as an energy management professional, dito ka babagsak bachelor degree. Dahil katulad dun sa RA 11285, require kasi na professional ka, and pagka CEM or Certified Energy Manager yung track na kukunin mo, you need to have a PRC license for engineers. Kailangan licensed engineer ka to become an energy manager. But for the ASEAN practice, kung kunwari, hindi ka naman mag-practice dito sa Philippines, gusto mo mag-practice sa ibang bansa, pwede ka pa rin naman kumuha. So for those who have bachelor's degree, kailangan mo lang ng experience in working with factories and buildings for at least 5 years, and an experience of working in a supervisory or managerial role for at least 2 years. Now, for those who are not, who doesn't have bachelor's degree, pwede ka pa rin naman magpa-certify under the ASEAN program, but hindi ka basta certify under the DOE requirements, dahil ang requirements ng DOE nga, katulad ng binabanggit ko kanina, kailangan licensed engineer ka to become an energy manager. So, however, if this is the option that you are looking at, kailangan mo ng working experience at least 7 years pagdating sa factories, and 4 years supervisory or managerial. So either way, you would be able to get a certification, and you will be part of the registry of ASEAN Certified Energy Managers. Ano bang mga trainings na kakailanganin mo? Of course, in order to have a certification, uh, in order to be certified or to be accepted for examination, syempre, you need to know yung itong tatlo na to. Code of practice for energy managers, sustainable energy management processes, and assessment. The assessment would comprise of theoretical and practical tests. However, dito sa Philippines, we've aligned with the Department of Energy because aside from these three, meron ng focused modules na kailangang i-take after, since this would also since rene-require din kasi ng Department of Energy technical knowledge pagdating sa certain subjects, for example lighting and HVAC. So this is something na nakaldagdag sa modules para sa Philippine practice. So certified energy manager must be a senior manager who will have a technical team to design and implement energy management measures in the context of sustainable energy management system. That must be incorporated in the company's corporate policy. So ito yung sa akin. I was certified 2019, matanggal na. Pero at least I encourage you guys to attend to be certified and all. Now, ano ba ang role naman natin as electronics engineers in the journey for sustainability? Actually, marami. As you can see, napakaraming opportunities for us. Our profession is very broad. We can work with different professionals kasi tulad nga lang madalas kasi sabi ang electronics engineers is the integration portion in the smart city or in the building management system kasi tayo yung may alam sa comms, tayo yung familiar sa devices and auxiliaries. So this is something na makaka-apekto talaga sa ating profession. So ano ba yung mga pwede nating magawa to support the journey to sustainability and energy efficiency? Syempre, for electronics engineers, we're familiar with electronic devices. We're the ones who design most of the time pagdating sa electronic devices. And in some cases, katulad sa aking employer, majority ng technological innovation is coming from electronic devices. Algorithms, programming, just a simple replacement of modules na babagsak siya sa electronic devices. If you need to communicate protection relay to another protection relay, you need to have a communication module for it. Babagsak ka sa electronic devices. Syempre, nandiyan ang renewable energy. Malapit sa puso natin ito. For example, solar PV. This is really just more of comparison kasi ang solar PV, ang silicon is semiconductor naman rin siya. At the same time, it acts as a sensor that detects photons and converts it into energy. And you need to have the proper knowledge and know-how pagdating sa systems architecture ng different PVs and how you will be converting the DC power, DC voltage coming from the detection ng silicon, how you will be converting it into usable voltage, which is yung AC voltage na 230 to 40 volts or 400 volts. Dito rin siya babagsak. Kasi power electronics rin naman yung inverter. So again, it's something na you guys might also want to consider in the future. Another thing is IoT. This is, I think, very, napakamatunog nito sa atin sa ngayon. And for energy efficiency, sustainability wise, this is where we come in. We can create devices na IoT based. We can program it, or we can integrate different devices into one system in order to have data coming from different devices. And syempre, papasok dyan yung programming skills natin, and syempre yung knowledge natin sa communications as well. Yan, tulad na sinasabi ko, communication infrastructure. This is very important, especially now that we are gearing towards smart city, smarter grids, dahil you need to have better communication infrastructure. So again, malaki ang tulong natin dito or malaki ang magiging papel ng isang electronics engineer pagdating dito sa communication infrastructure. Well, actually, malaki na ang papel niya and magiging malaki pa ang magiging role niya. Lalo na at majority of the buildings sa isang smart city would need to have communication their own communication infrastructure to communicate and integrate with the command center ng isang smart city and smart grid as well. I'm sure you're familiar with this, building and home automation. This is something that we've been talking about in the past, and this is something we are expecting to boom as well in the coming years, especially here in the Philippines, kasi late adopters tayo ng technology. So in terms of home automation, in terms of building automation, napakarami pa ng kailangan natin gawin. And the electronics engineers are us guys are also knowledgeable or should be knowledgeable with such systems para ma-integrate natin yung different systems, mechanical systems, electrical systems, plumbing and all. And one trend also is data science and analytics. Again, magkakarugtong to kasi once you are already able to get data coming from the IoT devices, coming from renewable energy, coming from the communications na naka-embed sa electronic devices, even building home and automation, the knowledge na nagagawa natin during sa data sciences, formulation ng algorithm, machine learning, programming and all, para makapag-generate ng mas efficient process, optimized process or optimized technologies in the future. I think pwede rin nating maging track as electronics engineers. And I think I know a lot of friends na nandito na sa practice na to, and kailangan ng mas marami pa na tao pagdating sa data sciences and analytics kasi again, tulad rin ng binabanggit ko kanina, you cannot control what you cannot measure, and in order to measure it, in order to control it, in order to analyze it, you need to have the proper know-how pagdating sa data sciences, data engineering, and analytics. Okay, and the list goes on. Marami talaga. Aside from the career track for energy management professionals, aside from renewable energy, dadami pa yan. And I'm sure us electronics engineering practitioners are one of the frontliners or one of the first people to understand the development in technology, and we will also be one of the leading innovators in the future. Now, as a summary, as engineers, we have the opportunity and responsibility to create a more sustainable society for the future generation. In order to cope up with the increase in future energy demand, energy saved coming from proper energy management and conservation would help in supplementing the lack of energy that is generated from energy generating plants. Kasi as we all know, from power generation going to usable energy, meron tayong around 60 to 70% na nawawala. That's why it's best na pagdating sa usable energy na napupunta sa atin, nagagamit natin ito efficiently. And of course, proper energy management does not only require the right technical knowledge. Hindi lang puro numbers yan, hindi lang puro technology yan, but it would also require leadership skills in order to motivate, educate, and influence different stakeholders to participate in your energy conserve programs. And lastly, as discussed, there are several solutions and strategies which can be used in order to comply with the requirement of the law, some of which may include as simple as energy efficiency campaigning with the stakeholders, katulad ng paglalagay ng reminders, na switch off the lights or pag-unplug ng mga loads natin, to a more complex solution such as solar PV installation, which can generate high savings for the facility. So with this, medyo maaga tayong natapos ngayon. With this, I'd be opening the floor. Ito nga pala yung aking QR code. Pagdating sa LinkedIn, you can feel free to add me anytime. If you have any questions or if you have any requirement projects pagdating sa energy efficiency, or if you just want to learn more about energy management, energy efficiency, automation and all, just let me know. I'd be more than willing to discuss with you guys. So here's my QR code. Again, ako po si Job Mayo the Fourth. I'd like to thank IECEP Rizal for this opportunity to share my knowledge, and at the same time encourage you guys to 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 join us in the journey to sustainability and energy efficiency. May it be via organization, via certification, or via your own ways in managing your consumption. Malaking tulong na po yun para sa atin. So maraming salamat po. Back to you po, Sir Finam. Thank you po.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Engineer Mayo, for that formative presentation. So, wag po muna kayo aalis. We will have question and answer after, as we will be back after 15 minutes. So, we will just have a 15-minute break po para sa lahat po.
Okay.
Breakfast ng mga hindi pa nag-breakfast. Tapos may nagtatanong mga po regarding sa attendance link. Mamaya po ay open po ulit after the webinar yung attendance link. So pwede po tayo mag-attendance after. So again, we will have the Q&A portion after the 15-minute break. And if you have questions na, you can type it na. So para makumpile na natin and ma-prepare po para later on sa ating Q&A portion. Thank you. So we'll see you guys in 15 minutes.
See you. So welcome back again after our 15-minute break. Um, Thank you again pala, Engineer Mayo, for that in presentation. So now we are heading to our question and answer portion. So may we ask everyone kung may mga question kayo, wag po kayong mahiya. Just please chat or send a message here in our Zoom chat. So para ma-entertain po kayo for your questions.
Okay, babasahin ko itong first question. Sir Job, for our first question, sabi po dito, do you have templates po for AEUR and AECR? Question po from IECEP Manila, KR Fabol.
Hi, good morning. Yes, actually, I have these. This is called Form 3 and Form 4. You can also actually download it sa sa website ng DOE, but if I can share it to you rin yung file kasi Excel sheet to na kailangan fill up ng energy managers at saka energy conservation officers. Yung deadline matagal pa naman, April 15, so kaya pa. I can share it po. I can provide it po. Thank you.
Okay, thank you po, Sir Job. Thank you rin po, Sir KR Fabol from IECEP Manila for your question. May questions na po ba para from other
So may question regarding our topic of sustainable energy management system. Wag na po kayong mahiya if you have may curiosity po kayo na gustong malaman, pwede po maisagot ni Engineer Mayo. Calling once po. Any questions po for our forum? Ayan, meron pong tanong from our IECEP Manila, Gilbert Navalero. So, question po niya is, I was able to see from RA 11285 na meron pong incentive section. Sir, so can you cite examples po about this topic?
Yes, actually that's a good question. Sa RA 11285, dalawa yung types of incentives na binibigay dyan. Yung non-fiscal incentives based on different awards. Kasi syempre may mga energy awards. For example, for ASEAN Energy Management Scheme, there's what you call the ASEAN Energy Awards. Based on different deliberations, tinitingnan dito yung practice, yung methodology, and yung technology employed. Another thing is yung fiscal incentives. Yung fiscal incentives naman depends on the incentives na ipoprovide ng government. So in some cases kasi for example, for renewable energy, merong in other countries there's what you call the tax holidays, yung feed-in tariff, tapos yung iba't iba pa. But as of this moment, medyo nasa non-fiscal incentives pa tayo. But hopefully soon there will be incentives pagdating sa funding ng energy efficiency projects. Kasi naka-focus naman, nagre-revolve naman ang energy efficiency projects sa different stakeholders, the owners, the ESCO, and the energy manager within the facility. So it depends kung paano nila isasabit yung report and paano nila i-implement yung energy efficiency and conservation program nila. So it varies depending sa location to location po.
Thank you, sir.
Hope that answers it. Thank you.
Meron pa po bang questions ang ating mga participants for today's session? Okay, so I think, sir, wala na po atang questions sa ating mga participants. So thank you, Sir Engineer Mayo, for answering some of the questions that were asked for this forum. Tawag po dito. We really learned a lot today, about the solutions and strategies in line, syempre, with the law that na tinaguyod po dito sa ating bansa, and also in line with the international standards para magkaroon po tayo ng energy efficiency. Ikaw naman, Chevy, ano ang iyong natutunan for today?
May pressure pero para basic sinabi mo, para perfect mo yung evaluation assessment mamaya. Joke lang. Ako naman, natutunan ko naman, syempre, mahalaga yung pagkakaroon nitong sustainable energy management system. Kasi habang as time goes on, tumataas ang demand for energy. So, mahalaga na ngayon pa lang natututo tayo ganitong mga strategies para ma-conserve ang energy and ma-allocate natin for many more uses that we more than that we already have. So, yun ang natutunan ko. So, once again, thank you po everyone sa mga sa dalawa
Opo, thank you
na
po.
ask na kanilang question, and we hope that we answered your queries. And before pala we end this this webinar, would like to remind everyone that we will have attendance link and assessment form and evaluation forms. Bali, 3 po yung sasagutan natin at the end of the webinar. So, stay tuned sa ating comment section later para dun sa mga links na yun. And that's it. So, again,
Yes, Chevy. So I believe that ends our question and answer portion of this webinar. So with that being said, let us proceed to the awarding of certificate.
So this is our certificate. The Institute of Electronics Engineer of the Philippines, Rizal Chapter, accreditation number 44, awards their certificate of appreciation to Engineer Job R. Mayo IV, ECE ACM, for sharing his knowledge and expertise as our research speaker on our 2022 IECEP Rizal Chapter 8 webinar series with the topic entitled Sustainable Energy Management System, given this 26th day of February in the year of our Lord 2022 at the province of Rizal, Philippines. So, congratulations po. Thank you po, Engineer Mayo, for your time and sharing your expertise with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Engineer Mayo, do you have any final remarks to finalize our session for today?
Well, actually, maraming salamat. Thank you sa pag-invite. Congratulations, IECEP Rizal for this. I think this good initiative. I see that this is already the 8th session. 8th na to already for the 2022.
Yes,
so,
sir.
marami-rami na. And, malaking tulong to lalo na sa atin na syempre continuous in learning and lalo na sa mga magre-renew ng license. Yung mga kailangan mag-renew ng license. So kailangan natin ng CPD points. So yun, and also lastly, I would I think paulit-ulit ako, pero I would encourage everyone to practice, to join the movement or to join the journey to sustainability, support yung initiatives ng ating government and ating mga employers and all. We do it not only in theory but also in practice. So with that, thank you so much, Sir Fina, Shibi, and Sir Ron for organizing this. Salamat po.
Thank you, Engineer Mayo.
Thank you, sir. So before we conclude our session, of course, we have some announcements. And we would like to invite everyone for this one-of-a-kind event this season. So we're advising you to start collecting your IECEP Rizalian e-coins now. So what are the mechanics, Chevy? So here are the mechanics to acquire. No? First, this is open to all ECTs, ECEs, and PECEs IECEP-wide. This promo is only applicable to chapters FB posts from January 1, 2022 to December 31, 2022. So paano ba tayo makuha ng Rizalian e-coins? So by liking our page, it's equivalent to 1 Rizalian e-coin. So reacting heart to our post is equivalent to 1 Rizalian e-coin. Sharing our post is equivalent to 2 Rizalian e-coins. And then all of that, take a screenshot and collate them in a Word file. Once you're done with the required number of Rizalian e-coins, kindly message us on our chapter page and i-attach na lang po yung Word file as proof. So also a reminder, you can only claim once to give chance to others. So every 2 months po, nagpapalit pong ating prices and we will post it here. So the items to be given away from January 2022 to February 2022 are as follows. For 70 Rizalian e-coins, we'll get 1 2020 Starbucks organizer. For 60 Rizalian e-coins, it's equivalent to 1 GCash of 500 pesos. For 50 Rizalian e-coins, it's equivalent to 1 GCash of 250 pesos. And for 40 Rizalian e-coins is equivalent to 1 voucher to any IECEP Rizal chapters paid webinar. So ano pa bang hinihintay ninyo? So start collecting Rizalian e-coins now. So always stay tuned in our official FB page to know the latest promotions and webinars just for you, Electronicos.
Ayun, nice. So by simply liking, heart reacting, and sharing our posts sa ating IECEP official Facebook page, IECEP Rizal for this favorite, makaka-earn tayo ng coins. Mali mo, makuha pa tayo ng 500, 250 pesos, di ba? So, join na guys by simply, di ba, taking screenshots of your sharing posts and everything. So, and thank you everyone for attending our webinar, and we would like to in our sa future naman, we'll have other webinars that we will like to invite you. So on March 5, March 12, March 19, and March 26, we will have the first online training series to be held by discussed by Engineer Rally Joy Ominga, ECEDPE. We would like to invite everyone to attend this webinar. Next up is on March 5th, 2022, we will have the 9th webinar series to be held by Engineer Giovanni Miranda, PECE, AE, about the Railway Passenger Information System or PIS design overview, operation, and maintenance. And on March 12th, also, there will be the 10th webinar senior series in collab with IECEP Tarlac Part 1 to be held by Engineer John Brian Pascasio, ECE. And on March 19, there will be the 10th webinar series, a continuation of the previous webinar to be held by Engineer Alan Sabado, PCE, that will discuss about the integrated electronic system for fire and life safety application. And On March 26, there will be the 11th webinar series brought to you by our very own Mr. Victor Iranela, ECT AMS, and he will talk about the advanced engineering avionics. So maganda yun, maka-attend tayo dyan. And for on April 2, 2022, there will be the 12th webinar series brought to us by engineer Christian Mayo, okay, ECE, and he will talk about about the modern ticketing system, an introduction to automatic fare system collection or AFCS. And after that, we'll have the 13th webinar series on April 9, 2022, brought to us by Engineer Robert Joseph Licup, MBA, PhD, PC, ASEAN Engineer, APEC Engineer, and CME Engineer PE. And he will talk about the technology, business, and the environment, about it being an agent-based AI modeling application in service management. So we hope that you can attend these future webinars, and of course you will get e-certificates and CPD points by doing so. So now that we formally end this program, and hopefully we answered mostly all of your questions now, and you'll get really informed about sustainable energy management system today. So now, to formally end this program, may we now call on Mr. Victor Iranela, ECT AMS, the IECEP Rizal trustee, for his closing remarks. Morning, Sir Vic.
Hello, hello. Rinig ba ako, Finam, Chevy?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Malinaw po.
Ayan, so thank you po sa lahat ng participants natin ngayon sa 8 webinar series. And syempre, before that, gusto ko rin magpasalamat kay Engineer Mayo sa napaka-solid na discussion about sustainable energy management system. And ayan, sana, ayun, napakarami yung natutunan ngayon about the topic. And syempre, would like to thank syempre mga advisors natin, si Gov. Dennis Molina, and sa provider ng Zoom po natin, si Engineer Lyle Villas, ICEP National VP Internal. And syempre, would like to thank also lahat ng officers, especially sa nag-iisa nating Governor, Gov. Ron Reyes. And syempre, dito sa dalawa nating host, moderator natin, thank you sa pag-accept kay Finam and Chebby. And ayun, see you sa susunod nating mga webinar. Every week naman po itong series. So, continue lang po tayo ng pag-attend para makapag-gain ng mga CPD and syempre sa new knowledge din. And before that, yung sa mga, baka po may magtanong na about sa mga certificates. So, wait lang po sa posting ng natin sa page. And vina-validate pa po natin yung attendance and evaluation. Simula po sa 6th webinar series. So, ayun. So, thank you po lahat and see you sa susunod nating session. Back to you, Finam, Chebby.
Thank you, Sir Vix, for closing remarks. And to our dear participants, isasend na po natin sa ating chat box the link for the attendance or evaluation form. Para po ay wag niyo po ito kakalimutang i-fill up for the requirements to qualify for the e-certificates and to earn the CPD units.
So that concludes our event. Thank you everyone for joining today in our webinar, and we hope that you learned a lot from Engineer Mayo and all that he discussed today. And again, reminder for everyone, please fill up the attendance evaluation form, link that will be sent to the comment box before you leave, so that you can because it is one of the requirements to qualify for the e-certificate and earn your CPD points. So, once again, I am Chevy Caballes.
And I am Finam Chatter Garcia.
Now signing off. So guys, before po tayo mag-leave, may request po everyone, our participants, and to open their cam so we can take a group photo po to commemorate this webinar, of course. Sino mag-screenshot sa atin?
Ako na lang. So, may we invite everyone po to open their cams for this documentation.
Stop share. Okay. Smile po tayo lahat.
Okay na po ba lahat? Ready na po ba? So, maraming pages po ata to. So, smile po tayo lahat for how many takes. So, 1, 2, 3, smile. Isa pa po. 1, 2, 3, smile. Ayan po. So, I think okay na po ating picture taking. Thank you po sa pag-open cam. And that's it. So, see you po ulit yung mga ka-elektroniko for our next webinar series. Don't forget po ang pag-fill up po sa ating link. I-post na po ito sa ating Zoom chat box. So we have the attendance link, the evaluation link, and the examination link.
Okay,
So,
thank you everyone. Have a
thank
good
you po
day.
everyone. Have a
Stay
good
safe po
day.
sa lahat. Stay healthy. Thank you po Sir Vic for the opportunities. Thank you po.